What's up, everybody? It is your boy Mugthadude here, and we are back with another video on Hero Colosseum. Now, this is a little bit of a different video. I'd like to say that my channel is a channel where people can learn sometimes how to play some Hero Colosseum, sometimes a tutorial on how not to play it, because sometimes I screw up very often. Like, lately I've been messing up in gameplay and stuff like that, guys. But I'd like to think I sprinkle tips and tricks here and there. I just do team showcases, like save that figure challenge, rate that figure series, all that good stuff, guys. But today, every video I get, who should I put on this team? What skills should I put on this figure? How should I build this team? Today, I'm going to be setting that to rest. Now, I still want you guys to be asking me questions and stuff like that because I'm here to help. That is the reason for this channel. Obviously, in the early life of this YouTube channel, it wasn't about Hero Colosseum. It was other stuff. I was pushing different content. I've literally been pushing Hero Colosseum since I fell in love with it. Literally playing it. One of the summon videos blew up, and now here we are. Today, I will be creating two teams. An offensive team and a defensive team. Now, this is going to vary tremendously considering what figures you have. I'm literally going off of if you have a lot of figures like I do, a lot of y'all. Shout out to all the top tier players. Shout out to Santana. Shout out to CW Inf. Shout out to Last Survivor. Shout out to the J Swiss. Shout out to Batman, man. There's some dude's name that begins with a B that literally every time I play him, I think I'm going to lose almost every time. Like, my confidence is low because he's that good at the game. Shout out to Deminroa, the #1 player. Shout out to all of you. All the high-tier players. This really isn't for you, but if you guys want to watch, go and watch it. Maybe you can learn something. I always learn from the top-tier players as well. But this is for players that always ask me questions about how do you build a team, what skills, who's good with who. Now, this is if you have all the good figures, and even if you don't have good figures, I could build a team with the low-tier figures. But today, I'm going to be building an offensive team and then a defensive team. I'm going to start actually with the defensive team because it's going to be pretty easy. So, if you're running a defensive team, there's two figures, one figure that is almost guaranteed to be on a lot of defensive teams, and that is a Piccolo. Now, the way you pick your Piccolo is how are you going to run your team and who are you going to run with the figure. Now, Piccolo goes good with a lot of figures. Anybody that goes bottom middle, I don't know why I even clicked beers.
I had a burp stuck in my throat, and I still can't get it out.
Mugs, what are you doing? Alright, so you have a Piccolo. He goes good with anybody that's bottom middle and stuff like that. You don't even have to run somebody that has a trigger score bottom middle. You can put, which I've fought many times and I literally get crapped on every time I play somebody that does this because I'm not ready for it ever. Like, I don't understand it. Ultra Instinct Goku can go bottom middle behind Piccolo. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just throw the HP one, because I actually think the HP one is very good compared to the defensive one. The defensive one doesn't hit nearly as hard. The defensive one has how much attack? 3,600. This dude has about 4,000, so he has 500 attack more. It's pretty good. Now, the skills you want to put on Piccolo. Defensive up F, defensive up SEC, and ult ET skills. You need ult down ET in order to survive in today's meta, in today's Hero Colosseum gameplay. ET skills are almost required, because if you let somebody get an ult on you and you don't have Ultra Instinct Goku, GG, especially with L1 skills, it's GG. Like, it's literally like you're going to lose. So, unless you have somebody that lowers ult damage, like an Ultra Instinct Goku, or a Super Saiyan 3 Goku, or an SR Vegeta, because I know he lowers it by 50%. Now, Piccolo, defensive up F, defensive up SEC. Bottom middle, you could put somebody that goes behind him. This is the classic setup that has literally been going on since he literally got dropped. Bardock. Now, Bardock, I recommend running ET skills because he's going to be hiding behind the Piccolo, and you will literally be getting defended by the Piccolo. That is why he's behind the Piccolo. So, you can run, I recommend running, this is what I have, ADM up B, so you're getting that 10% damage buff, and then ADM up SEC, so you're getting another 20% damage buff. You can run attack up SEC, and if you're going to run attack up SEC instead of the ADM up SEC, run attack up SEC instead, run attack up SEC, and then run ADM up SEC, because you want that 1,000 attack buff, and then after that 1,000 attack buff gets activated, you're going to get the 20% damage dealt buff after the 1,000 attack is factored in after you got the attack up SEC. Now I have 10 out of 10 Piccolo, 10 out of 10 Bardock. All into his attack, he's level 60 out of 99. If I level 99 him, he's gonna have an insane amount of attack. I'm so surprised I still haven't level 99'd him. But by the way, it's been a while since I've done this. But if my hands are ever dirty in a video, it's because I literally just got back from work and I literally hop on to record almost immediately, unless I'm eating. Now, so you have the Bardock and you have the Piccolo. Another figure that literally blares out to me every time. I've literally said it a million times on this channel. I'm going to say it again. Vados. Piccolo and Vados are the best combination. Some of the best duo figures. I will be doing a list on best duos, like what figures go well together. and Piccolo and Vados are going to be like top 5 easily, like top 3 maybe, because of how well they go. So what she does is she lowers attack of the opponents by 30%. So you have him giving your master 5,000 defense and gaining 350 defense. So the fact that you have defensive up F, he's going to be gaining 350 from his posing skill, 350 from defensive up F because it's going to activate first before the turn is decided. And then so you're going to gain 700 defense right off those two things. Boom, 1,700 defense. Factor in the plus 700 defense when you go second because the whole goal is to go second. And with this setup, you're pretty much going to because they're very low speed figures unless they're running like figures with less than 1,000 speed. But overall, he's going to be gaining that. So he's going to have 2,700, right? No, 2,400 defense. On top of the fact that everybody's attack is being lowered by 30%. Now, when it comes to Vados, I recommend defensive up F and defensive up SEC, just like the Piccolo, and run ult. The more ET skills you have, the better. She is made to survive attacks, unless they have somebody that is disgustingly hard-hitting. I recommend that. So, overall, you have the Piccolo, and you have the Vados, and you have the Bardock. Bardock can hide behind the Piccolo, so you have him going top middle because he only has one trigger square. Him going bottom middle because more than likely you're going to want to run in bottom middle because Bardock takes up Vados' top right trigger square. So always run Vados top right in his inner trigger square, Piccolo top middle in his trigger square, and Bardock bottom middle in his trigger square. So then you have these 3 figures. As soon as I put these 3, you don't even need him. You can honestly, if you wanted to, which I recommend because she hits so insanely hard, put Kefla if you want to have that extra damage buff. You don't need Bardock to buff the Piccolo. That is literally just if you want to have an extra little buffing of attacking defense. Run the Kefla because she's going to scare people and she's going to hit insanely hard. So just like, yeah, I figured. I don't have a lot of skills left. So in my opinion, you run ADM up B because you're never going to run her top right, just like same thing as the Bardock. They share trigger squares. Where's ADM up B? I can't find it. ADM up B first, so you can get that 10% damage buff because that goes before the turn order is decided. ADM up SCC, where is it? ADM up SCC, so she's getting a 20%, 30% damage buff, and she has an insane amount of attack. And then run ET skills on her, guys. Like, I can't stress this enough. The more ET skills you have, the better. So I have no more ET skills. I need to buy more, correct? Is that what I just said? Is that what I just saw, actually? Yeah. I need to buy more ET skills. I probably will very soon because I'm running low. So, or I can just take them off other figures. Now, you have these 3 figures. After this, it is entirely up to you what type of team you want to run after that. So you can have a speed type where you literally, the classic 01 skill figure. Future Gohan. I don't even have 01 skills. Do I have any figures with 01 skills on it still? Super Saiyan 4 Goku should definitely have it. The old Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Correct? Yep. Yes, so he has 01 skills. Say, what did your dupes into it? Oh, into HP? Man, I really screwed up there. I could have put into his attack and made him better. But I'm literally getting off track. So you can have Super Saiyan 4 Goku, who literally is, if you wanted to, run... See, these... First of all, the one thing I want to say is, before I go on any more in this video, this is entirely my opinion, and this has been me experimenting with these figures for so long. And this is just me giving my opinion and my tips and tricks on how to build a team defensively and offensively. So the defensive setup is you want to survive and take damage, low damage, because that's what a defensive setup does, is how low is the damage that you're taking. And then, do you have any damage to support your team? Because if you just have defensive figures, teams that like literally low damage output and lower damage output and have no high damage output, you're never going to get anywhere because you're literally just going to be taking damage and you're never going to be killing any figures. So that is why I always try to have at least 2 hard-hitting figures on a defensive team at all times that can go in the back. So, for instance, Kefla's one of them. You can put 01 skills on the Super Saiyan 4 Goku and put him behind the Piccolo. And when I say 01 skill figure, I mean a figure that has high speed, that can go top middle. He doesn't have a trigger square top middle, but the way his posing skill works is keep him behind the Piccolo and just let him gain ult damage. Now, when it comes to 01 skills, the order you want is SCA skills, attack up 01, speed up 01. Always have that first because the plus 700 is going to be factored in before the ×2, which is what you want. You want that ×2 because basically, when it comes to attack, that is basically turning into 1,400 damage, 1,400 attack buff, and a 2,100 speed buff, basically. So that is amazing. Like, that's all I have to say. So onto the rest of the team build. So if you want to take him off, you can put... Now, also another thing I want to mention. This is going to be a whole ramble of a video. And this might be a little bit of a longer video, guys, so strap in. But how many trigger squares you take up and how many people share trigger squares is also a big thing. So she shares 1 trigger square with Vados. Nobody else shares a trigger square, which is amazing. Now, where the trigger squares are located are something different. He goes in the middle. She goes in the middle or right side. She just goes right side. So you have nobody going on the left side. But Piccolo allows you to run 2-lane setups with the 5,000 damage buff. Now I'm factoring out the Beerus and I'm factoring out the hit. Those are different stories. They are just natural hard hitters. And ignore defense or hit lowers defense to 0 and then somebody else can hit hard. But you can run people on the right side. So what I recommend is having somebody that goes behind the Vados that hits insanely hard. So for example, look at this team I have right now. You have the Piccolo, you have the Vados, you have the Blue Vegito who can go behind the Vados or go in front of the Fu that goes bottom left or goes, yeah, that wouldn't work. He can go in front of the Fu, which I've done in the past, Bardock top left, Fu bottom left, Vados top right. You're lowering damage output because you're lowering their attack by 30%. He is tanking a little better because of the attack lowering by 30%. And these two just hit insanely hard. I have 3 hard hitters on this team, actually. You can go a little bit more of a defensive setup. And instead of the Vados, you could honestly run a left lane setup and go Toa. Where's Toa? Because I hate her, but I love her at the same time. Toa. Toa can go bottom left and top middle. Piccolo. Actually, I'm going to scrap that. That's for another day. That's for another day, guys. Another day, another lesson. But Vados top right. Now, 2 other hard hitters that can go behind the Vados and behind the Piccolo if you want to. One that blares out to me and everybody uses because he hits so entirely hard. Hits for like 14k if you get all of the stats that you want on him. Is the Attack Blue Vegeta. You don't need ET skills on him, and I highly recommend not putting him on because he hits so hard that the extra damage is really needed. So what you want is attack up SEC to go first. Actually, you want ADM up B, my bad. Because you're only going to put him in the back because he's going to be hiding behind that Vados and he's going to be supplying an insane amount of damage. And when somebody sees a Vegeta like this, you are going to want to take him out as fast as possible. So Blue Vegeta goes bottom right, top left, but you're going to run him bottom right. So then you have ADM up B, so he's going to get a 10% damage buff before the turn is decided. Then attack up SEC for that plus 1,000 attack buff. And then ADM up SEC. So he's going to have, if he gets all of this active, he's going to be getting a 10% damage buff from the ADM up B, a 20% damage buff from the ADM up SEC, already on top of the fact that he gets a natural 30%. So he will be getting a 60% damage buff. I've gone over this figure so many times. This is literally me telling you how to build a team at this point. So put him. If you have him on the team and you have a Piccolo and Vados, put him behind the Vados because the amount of damage he outputs is stupid. Nobody can survive him unless you put a Toa on the field and they switch him. So now overall you have somebody that goes behind the Vados to supply damage and support the Vados. Kefla to support the Piccolo. Now anybody else, that is entirely up to you. This is where I really have a hard time on the end of my defensive teams is because I don't know who that last figure is going to be. So you could put the Blue Goku who can go top middle. I honestly recommend somebody that can substitute the Piccolo, supplying defense and blocking in the middle to block the Kefla. So one thing I highly recommend doing, or pick a figure that supports any figure. So you could put Android 17, who I highly recommend, who goes behind the Piccolo. You can put anybody, you don't even need to put somebody that, like I said, he can go behind the Piccolo or behind the Vados, be a floater, and he still is getting 9,000 attack, who has more attack than Kefla, more attack than Blue Vegeta. Or you can put a wild card on the field and put Jiren, who hits insanely hard. You can put Fu, who I actually am running more on defensive setups more than offensive setups because he has 3 trigger squares. Top middle, bottom left, and bottom right, which means he can go behind the Vados, behind the Blue Vegeta if you do run in bottom left, or behind the Bardock like I saw on the other team, behind the Bardock or behind the Blue Vegeta, and he can go top middle. I wouldn't really run him top middle unless you know you're going to go first, but the last slot is entirely up to you. So what I recommend doing is picking a figure that has 2 trigger squares and more than likely in the front. So one thing I would do is I'd put the Rosé on this team, just to polish it off with a lot of HP and a lot of damage potential if he gets attacked. So you don't need to run the Bardock first turn ever. So you could actually run Rosé top middle, her bottom middle, him bottom right. Or him top middle, hit her bottom middle, her definitely top right, And the more damage he takes, the better, because he's going to be getting faster. He's going to be getting stronger hard-hitting-wise. He's going to be getting 1,500 attack every time he gets attacked. And plus, he just is a tank. 2,000 defense with all of the SEC stats. Now, when I say SEC stats, I mean defensive up SEC for anybody that goes in the front. If you're going to put them in the front and block for someone, defensive up skills are highly suggested. And then the attack up SEC and the ADM up SEC. Basically, an entire SEC kit, which is what be needed. So that is basically what you would want to do for a defensive setup. You have 2 figures that support the team in lowering of attack output or defensive buffing. 5,000 defense of the master is still a gross setup, guys. So you could put him top middle, her top right, him bottom right, top middle, top right, bottom middle, or top middle, bottom middle, top right, or you actually don't even have to run them in their trigger squares. Top left, bottom left, top right, just in case if they're like running an off team and you're worried about your master HP because Piccolo died. That is the reason I have Rose, is because he has a huge HP pool and actually has a higher amount of defense. First turn, he's going to have more defense than him if you go second, because he starts with 2,000 defense and he starts with 1,000 defense, regardless that he gains 350 defense. That SEC skill, defensive up SEC, will still output more defense for his figure. Now, guys, on to the offensive setup. Like I said, little brief thing. If you're going to run a defensive setup, think of 2 things. Are you going to go second with this team to guarantee you SEC skills? And 2, does it have a lot of survivability, and is the damage output optimal for surviving an attack and dealing a lot of damage? Because that's the one thing I find online sometimes. People run a defensive setup, but they can't kill my figures. Even if I have an insane amount of attack and I still can't kill their figures, I'm not worried about the damage they're doing to me. Like, they have a Piccolo, a Vados, and then they'll have like a Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Super Saiyan 4 Goku still outputs a lot of damage. But or a Bardock or a Ranger 17, sometimes they don't output the damage you're really looking for, and I'm surviving a lot of attacks. So survivability is a big thing. Damage output, the reason I have Blue Vegeta, Kefla, and if Rose gets attacked enough, Rose. So I highly recommend, if you're running a defensive setup, have at least 3 hard hitters, maybe 2 if you have a Toa, because that will really make your team's survivability skyrocket, because they switches attack and speed. So now we're on to the defense. Now we're on to the offensive side. This is going to be like a 30-minute video. Buckle in, guys, because the offensive setups is where I really love to showcase. There's so many good offensive teams. So many good offensive setups. There's more offensive characters than defensive characters, by far. Because defensive characters really are limited to figures with high attack output, low speed. Because if you have high speed, you can't go second. It's almost impossible with the setups people are running. Or, by the way, if you didn't want to put Kefla or Vegeta, if you wanted to take out Kefla, he, no matter where he goes, will hit hard. No matter where he goes, by the way. So you could put him behind the Vados, because he doesn't need to be in his trigger square because he gains 500 attack. It doesn't matter. He has 10,000 attack, which is more than anybody will have on this team, no matter what setup you put them in. So you can put him behind a Piccolo. You can put him behind a Vados. He doesn't need to be in his trigger square to affect the team, because of the amount of damage he outputs is disgusting, guys. So onto the offensive setups. I keep going back to the defensive ones. But as I was saying, there's so many offensive setups you can run. One figure that if you have her and you want to go first, put her on. I highly recommend it. Don't say, ew, people hate Videl. She's a disgusting figure, guys. How many Videl setups do I have? 1, 2. I have 2 right now. I usually have like maybe 3, 4 tops, because every time I go online and I see level 99, Piccolo, Vados, or Videl. That's it, and you're going to win. So, Videl. What she does is lower speed and defense by 30%. Her stats are very good. What I recommend on her is speed up A, ADM up A. Speed up A and ADM up A. ADM up skills are very good now. They give everybody this damage, this stuff. So speed up A, everybody gets 250 speed. Everybody gets 5%. I would run attack up A, but I do not have that anymore. I actually ran out of it and I need to buy more. Do I have enough? I'm going to have to buy a couple, but that's for a different video. So either do speed up A first and then ADM up A. The ult skill, the ult ET is factored in after the turn is over, so it really doesn't matter where you put it. So after that, she goes bottom, middle, and top right. So you can put somebody that goes bottom right, or top middle that will affect her and can block for her or supply support from the back, from behind her. One figure that literally screams to me every time I put her on a team, either Champa or the God Q, and I'm putting God Q. Because he gives everybody 160 attack, he gains 700 attack, and he gains 5% damage output every time. So, the way you want to run up A skills is, you want to give them attack up A first, speed up A is going to be the second skill, ADM up A is going to be the third skill, because this will be factored in to the plus 5% damage dealt by all allies. So the 500 attack, technically, you're going to be gaining from 2 people having the up A skills, because it's not 750 buff, I figured that out. It's up A skills. So you're only going to be gaining 250 from 2 figures, so it's 500. That is, like, up A skills have no difference in the stat buff you get from the up F skills. It literally only matters is you can run them in anywhere on those 6 squares, bottom right. That's it. So on with the video. He has such high speed and such high attack, he's got to be there. Now, when it comes to speed, I like to at least cap myself in the amount of speed I have. Like, if I really wanted to, I could do this on a speed team. I'm rambling, but this is just, I see this a lot, and it actually annoys me. It works, but not all the time. Here's somebody else. Mugs. I have a good idea. Where is he? This is actually not that bad, but it's not that good. So look at the amount of speed you have. That is almost too much speed. So you really can sprinkle out when it's the same thing with defensive setups. Like I said, at least have 2 hard-hitting figures. With speed, at least have 2 hard-hitting figures with average speed. So Vidal's obviously going to be your first pick. Godku is going to be your second pick. Boom. Now, they have such good speed that with the up A skills, she's going to have about 4,100 speed. He's going to have about 5,000 speed almost. You're almost going to be breaching 9,000 speed with 2 figures. I almost like to cap myself at like 13,000 speed max. And if somebody else is running a super speedy team, you gotta like compete with them. So have at least one other speedier figure. So another figure I like to put on that guarantees me going first, and then I can put whoever else I want on the team, is the future Gohan, who goes bottom left, top right. So he shares a trigger score with Godku and with Videl on the opposite side of the field. So this team, more than likely you're going to go first with it if you wanted to go bottom left, top middle, bottom middle. You're going to go first. More than likely, future Gohan isn't going to be hitting that hard because he just doesn't off rip. But Godku, on the other hand, the fact that he gains 700 attack, he's gaining 500 attack from the up A skills, and he's gaining 5% on the damage dealt, is incredible. That is the reason I have him on this team. Coffee break. Now, another figure that goes very well with this team, and I see this very common in like some lower rank players, and it is just simply due to the fact that they see the stat and they're like, oh my god, look what's going on here. But they don't realize sometimes what they're doing. Like, they just put figures on a team to put them on the team. Worry about trigger squares. Trigger square placements are a huge thing. And I've actually won games because people didn't realize that they had nobody that gone on the right or left side. And I could easily exploit that because you can see, okay, they have all figures. Like, if I only had figures that go on the left side, so Godku, who's another figure that just goes on the left side, basically. Kid Buu. There's another one. I know there's more. This is like, I'm just trying to make a point here. That. There's one more. And I'm going to put him on, even though every time I put him on a team, he absolutely breaks the game. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. So, everybody goes bottom left, top middle. Bottom left, top middle. Top left, bottom middle. Top left, top middle. Bottom left, top middle. Bottom middle, top right. So she's the only one that goes on the right side. Always have a very big variety in your trigger squares. That is one thing that I love to do, and that's the one thing I always stress when I'm building a team and I'm like in my head thinking where I want to go with this, how do I want to build a team, something like that, of that nature. Trigger squares mean a lot in this game. Like, there's a reason they're a thing in this game. So Videl can go bottom middle at all times. I always put her bottom middle, guys. So then Godku can go top middle, So now you can go left or right side, and it really entirely up to you at that point on who else you want to put on the team that outputs a lot of damage. So you can put the future Gohan, like I said. I recommend a figure that goes top left or top right, because that is so useful, because he goes bottom left, which means you can use that figure to hide Godku in future turns in the fight. So for instance, a blue Goku. I didn't want to put blue Goku. A Hito, top left, top right. Why do I keep clicking it? I should go back every time I do it. Blue Gogeta, top left, top right. Old Broly actually is a very good choice for this, and hits so freaking hard. Top left, top right. Who else? There's literally a bunch more. I'm literally just throwing ideas out for you guys. Or you can do an idea where they don't have to go. They have cross map trigger squares, and they supply the team. So one big one is Super Vegito. He goes behind the Videl when she goes top right. He goes bottom right. And he goes above the Godku when he goes bottom left. He goes top left. So Super Vegito is a huge buff for this team and a huge output. Now, like I said with the SEC skills, the order that you put ADM up A skills are huge. So always put attack up A first, speed up A second, or actually it doesn't matter. Speed up A and attack up A can go first or second as long as ADM up A is last. So that is factored in with the 250 attack that they're gaining from everybody first. So you want that 500 attack buff before the ADM up A skills are activated. So, bottom right. As I said, bottom right, top middle, or bottom left, top middle, bottom middle, top left, or bottom right. Now, from that point on, you can literally do anything you want, because he can go on both sides of the field. You can put another top figure on that goes top middle, another figure that goes bottom middle, or another figure that goes top left and top right. I highly recommend, like I said before, and I should have, a figure that goes on both sides of the field, because trigger square variety is huge in this game. So you have somebody that goes bottom left, you have somebody that goes bottom right, and you have somebody that goes, bottom left, bottom right, bottom middle, top left, top right. So all three of these people have a trigger square in a different spot than each other. Like, nobody shares a trigger square at that point, correct? Yeah, nobody shares a trigger square at that point. So then pick figures that share trigger squares and can also be ran with another trigger square, another figure that shares that same trigger square with them. They just have a second one they can use. For instance, Hit, or Blue Gogeta, or Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, or Blue Vegeta. New Blue Vegeta I'm talking about. Bardock is a good one, but he shares two trigger squares with Videl, which means you can either want one or the other when they're on the field, and it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go with Broly, for instance, because he's actually really good. And when this team is already speedy, this setup will have about 13,000, maybe 14,000 speed capping off there. So you can put him top left, him top right to hide the Vegito, hide the Godku. So you could put bottom middle, top left, or top right. Same thing, top left or bottom right. Now he can go in front of the Godku bottom left, top right. Same thing. You always want to have trigger square varieties, because you want to keep the person you're playing guessing at all times. Like, always be unpredictable. Being unpredictable in this game is huge in the later rounds. That is what's really good about players that are high level and are level 99s with so much FP. Sun Santana, shout out to you. Last Survivor, shout out to Scrubs, I believe, or Nerd. I forget what his name is. Scrubby Nerd or Nerd Scrubs. I forget what his name is. Shout out to you. The J Swish. All the high tier players. CWM. The dude with the B name. He just craps on me every time I play him. So many figures is when it comes to later rounds and somebody loses an important figure, that is where you really start to see some creative gameplay. Like, I try and so many people try it, is risk taking is huge. Like, I just beat Sun Santana, shout out to you, because I took a huge risk. He took out my Vados first turn, or took out my Piccolo first turn, and I was like, screw it. Second turn, I gotta go big or I lose, because I'm gonna get destroyed for next turn anyways. I literally won because I attacked 2 times with the Master, and it was a huge gamble. Like, if he would have put all of his speed figures on the right side, GG's in the chat, I would have lost. So, being unpredictable is another big thing with this game, guys. Is try to be as unpredictable as possible. Last figure, that is where I try to get, especially with attack and speed skills, attack and speed figures with a Videl team, for instance, be so creative. Like, look at this team. He has a high amount of speed. She has a high amount of speed. This is almost a copycat team of this in a little bit of a way. He can go top middle, so he's always going to be going top middle with the Videl. Top left, top right. Top left, top right. He basically does the same thing. Top left, bottom right. Obviously, Vegito, top left, bottom right. He is another God Q of the team. Bottom left, top right. Bottom left, top middle. Bottom left, top middle. So there's always copycats. It's just a matter of who you want to put, who has better stats, and all that. And how their posing skills, because posing skills are a big thing. The fact that he makes everybody do 10% more damage is a huge buff. Broly, on the other hand, is selfish, gives it to himself, and gives you 15% ult gauge at the end of turn. So it's always pick your poison with posing skills and stuff like that. Last figure with a speed and attack team, try to have fun with it. Like, that's generally the only thing I have to say, is try to have fun with the team, guys. So last figure, I would put somebody that has a large amount of damage output, like over Godku, and like almost breaches just 10k. Like, have fun with it. Or you can put somebody that is completely out of the ordinary, like Blue Vegeta, who goes top right, or a Godku, or a Team Gohan, or a Kid Bizzle, or a Hit. Have somebody that has at least one trigger square that's somebody that you like, doesn't share it with. So my last figure is going to be Ultra Instinct Goku. Yeah, my last figure is going to be Ultra Instinct Goku, because you can put him anywhere on the team. The only reason he goes top right is to either lower ult damage or go first and attack first, and you're going to output a lot of damage because he's going to hit for like 10k first turn because of the 1.1 times attack. But you can put Godku anywhere on the map. It doesn't matter. That's how high that's how high his attack stat is. That almost 10k attack stat, it doesn't matter where you put him. Like, he's going to hit hard no matter what, because his attack stat is so high. It's not like he literally depends on getting that 1.1 times attack. It's not like Broly, who has 7,000 attack, but if he doesn't get that 10%, it's going to be life or death when it comes to the figure you're facing. Or Godku. If he's not in a trigger square, he's just another figure that's not supplying attack, he's not gaining damage output, and he's not gaining attack. He literally is just there. So same thing with Videl. If she's not in her trigger square, you're not going first, because you're not going to have that minus 30% to speed to the opponents. So guys, that is going to do it for the video. Always keep in mind trigger squares when it comes to attack and speed teams. Trigger squares, the amount of speed you have obviously is it. So I say have 3 speedy figures that have at least moderate damage output or high. Vegito's just like one of those rare cases where he has both attack and speed. Same thing with the Godku. Her not so much, just because he gains 700 attack. That's the only reason he's absolutely disgusting. But guys, that is going to do it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is a tips and tricks on how to build a team and the thought process. Like I said, when it comes to being a high tier player, I don't even consider myself high tier. I just consider myself a person that has played this game a lot. Be very creative with your teams. I try to use figures that aren't normally used sometimes, but sometimes I get caught using teams that are just OP. Like, that team I don't ever see anybody running ever. Like, I never see anybody running him. Double toe up, slap on the wrist. I just made that team to be gross and disgusting and annoy trigger people. But that is going to do it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe as always. I hope to catch y'all in the next video. Dada deuces, everybody. Shout out to all my subscribers and shout out to all my Hero Colosseum players, because this game is so much fun. And I literally talked for 30 minutes about this game, and it might look just like, oh, you put figures on you put figures on the map and you battle and that's it. And it's no, there's math involved, and it's involved very much creativity and strategy, guys. But dada deuces, everybody.